Oh, got to get rid of that one. Morning, everyone. Hello, hello. Got to get rid of that one. There we go. Hey, morning. Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat. Alison, bright and early. Well, might not be. When does daylight savings change? Soon. Hopefully soon. Morning, Alison. Morning, Kevin. How are you? Alexis and Tim, David, all here this morning. Wonderful. Great to have you here, folks. Thanks for joining. Let us know where you're dialing in from. I hope you're all awesome and well wherever you are around this crazy, wonderful place. Beck, morning to you. Got Alex as well. A few of the regulars. Welcome along. Great to see you here, folks. If you didn't already know, we'll do the quick pleasantries. For those who don't know, Jason Witten's my name. Most of you know that, though. But if you didn't, there you go, a little reminder. Been doing these Wealth Coffee Chats for a little while now, helping property investors make a little bit of sense of what's going on out there in the marketplace. Gemma, good morning to you. Good to have you here. David's in from Brizzy, just up the road. Been property investing myself for a few years, well over 20, coaching property investors as well. Done a few deals, learned a few things. Learned? What's the right English? What's the right I don't know. Whatever it's meant to be. Anyway, don't get caught up, Jason. Anyway, I've learned a few things along the way, folks, and I like to share them with you each morning on this thing called Wealth Coffee Chat. So welcome along. Good to have you in the house. If you're new, say hello. Give us a shout. If you're watching it on the replay, do the same anyway. I know many people can't catch it live. This is recorded in Facebook and YouTube and put on as podcasts as well. So if you do struggle to get sorted for the morning, you can catch up. You can subscribe wherever you get your good podcasts and or YouTube channels. There you go. Little plug. Hey, morning, Jimmy. All the way from NZ. Good to see you, brother. Thanks for joining. Anyway, what's going on in the world of construction in Australia right now? Well, more specifically, residential housing building or residential building. Folks, we certainly have a big issue. And unless you've been living under a rock, not paying attention, then this might surprise you this morning. But it has been deemed by the builders and the developers as the profitless boom. The profitless boom for our construction industry. Okay, some of us as investors have landed quite nicely because it's worked in our favor, and that's the way the cookie crumbles. Sometimes you're on one side or another side of the ledger, folks. But what is going on out there in the marketplace when it comes to the world of construction and residential housing? Because didn't we have a record number of approvals of recent times? And the answer is yes, we did. What happened to all those houses, folks? And that's what I wanted to maybe chat to you about this morning, a little bit about what is going on. But tell me in the chat, what do you know right now? What do you know right now about what's happening to a lot of builders out there and some major builders out there? Put that in the chat for me. Has anyone noticed anything that's going on? Put that in the chat right now, because this is what we're going to have a bit of a talk about this morning. All right, let's get into it. What is happening, folks? What's going on out there? Few little conversations going on about our supply chain, our future supply of real estate. Supplies are getting hard. Yeah, they're struggling. That is for sure, Tim. What's happening to our builders or with our builders out there? Low supply, weak level of new housing completions in 2024, 2025, 2026. Listen, weak level, that is an absolute bloody understatement, right? Bloody understatement. Sasha's paying attention here, which is good. Everyone else is obviously gone bust, right? And I'm going to show you something in a minute. Certainly, plenty of delays, folks. What's going on out there? Weak level. That is the understatement of the week. The weak level. Weak. It's a disaster. Disaster. Is that how you spell it? It's a disaster, folks, going on out there right now with many of our residential builders. And the effects of it are showing up right now. The cause happened a while ago. There were two things that happened just recent times. And we need to understand what is going on, right? If we have a look at completions across the country, we're heading in a downward direction. If you have a look at our total completions, we are heading down. This is sort of 2020, right? When the coronavirus came along, that'd be sort of 21, 22, and 23. Right? We're heading in a downward direction. The number of things proposed to be completed from some crazy highs are just like ridiculous. And I'll show you in a minute, right? Here's what we can look forward to at this moment in time. And this problem is not going to be solved anytime soon, right? So let's just have a look at a few things here. Now, this is where we are today. This is like, hey, that's what might be completed. Now you go, all right, well, coming, and here's what's coming in the future. Oh, Melbourne might go up a little bit or whatever, and that's not even up a little bit in comparison to the others, just so you know. Look, Sydney, a city of 6 million people, or New South Wales, 6 million. How many people in Sydney? 2,800 new apartments marketed and under construction for completion in 2025. Now, I showed yesterday, first home buyer couple paid $215,000 over the asking price or over the reserve price for a one-bedroom apartment in Sydney. Folks, it is not going to get any better. Yeah, and Alexis is talking about approvals for sure. We actually had a record approvals year, Alexis, across many states. However, that caused other issues, and the approvals certainly we need to improve the approvals, but more importantly, we need to improve the properties being completed. But look at this, folks. 500 in Brisbane. That's nothing. That's nothing. Folks, this year, 4,000 is nothing for Brisbane, and we're heading towards 500. Melbourne, Sydney, 2,800. And have a look at the other places in the country. There's nothing coming, folks. Let's scribble all over that. It's just, there's nothing there, all right? People will sell their existing properties. No, they won't. Listings are down, okay? Total listings of properties being resold, and you can sort of see here, this is kind of like a sweet spot. That's where we've been. And what's happened since that? What's happened to our population since 2010, folks? Our population has gone up. So our population's gone up. I think I've got a stat on that in a minute. Here's the weekly asking prices. Weekly asking prices have not gone down. You can see this with SQM research. But here's what happened. Let's have a quick look at this. So Alexis talking about approvals there, right? So we had a boom in approvals, certainly for houses, right? So houses, absolutely, our best approvals for decades, right? Our best approvals for decades, folks. The best approvals for decades, 25,000 extra houses got approved. And why? Why did they get approved? What happened? Tell me right now in the chat. What happened there? Why did we get such a spike in approvals for independent houses? And that it didn't help with the apartments, by the way. You can see here we had a disaster over here called APRA. The APRA. There was 2 or 3 other things that actually happened 2017, 2018. But we already had a disaster when it came to supply. And then along came COVID, right, to kick it in the teeth. What happened? What happened here? Even though we had a little spike in medium density, we had a massive spike in housing approvals. Yep. They gave away free money. Right. Now, it was a marketplace that was actually quite balanced already. It was a balanced market. They gave away free money, and they did not understand the problems that would come with giving away free money. They never do. There's always a problem when you give away free money. Let's have a look at this. So for, probably even further, for 20 years, for 10 to 20 years, we could only get approved and build, let's call it 75,000 houses. So here's an idea. Let's in 1 year get 25% more houses in the pipeline, all right, in the middle of the biggest supply constraints we've ever seen in Australia's history. And what do you reckon that's going to do to our builders? All right, here we go. Record surge. Crazy. Look at this. All right, record surge in houses under construction. Now what's happened? Let's have a look at what's happened. Commencements down. So it hasn't transformed from here to here. What happened, right? What's happened to our 26,000 homes? Why aren't they being built? What happened to them? Okay. Well, number one, construction prices, folks. All of the quotes. Let me put myself some over here. Let's say you had a look at, let's call this 2020 and 21, right? They sold all of these houses here, and the going process was to fix in a construction rate, right? And then the cost of construction has gone up between 10 and 20%, and some materials have gone up significantly more. So all of these 100,000 houses there, what's happened? No profit for the builders. No profit, folks. Most of them were contracted to a certain fixed amount. They got locked in and got jammed. Now, some of them have been able to negotiate and talk with their customers to eke out and get through, right? But here's the problem. Here's the challenge, right? We've had at least 20 large companies collapse in 2022. We've now had 3 more companies collapse in 23. Let me put this up here. Right, 23rd of Feb. Another. So owing a bunch to the subcontractors, ladies and gents. 50 homes incomplete. Look at this. There's 50 homes incomplete. 50 homes incomplete there. All right. 703 million, 130 subbies out of pocket. Hundreds of builders have gone bust this year. So not only, folks, are the large builders going bust, but then the small builders are going bust as well, right? Now, it's flowing through. It's going to show up in 2023. Most of them tried to navigate it in 21 and 22. Significant amount of delays, et cetera, okay? For all of us as property investors, what does it mean, right? What does that mean? How do we navigate this as investors as we go along? Well, what is the silver lining for us as property investors, ladies and gents, team, is that supply is going to put pressure on prices, okay? Supply is going to put pressure on prices. Very sadly and unfortunately for a lot of people, supply is not going to be solved anytime soon. And I think I've said this one for a while. I mean, look at this. At a good marketplace, we sort of climbed a ladder to supply the Brisbane market reasonable, but since then, disaster. Melbourne, that's kind of a good supply chain for apartments and houses, but look at that, disaster. All right, undersupplying our marketplace by 5 to 10% of what is required for detached houses, for houses, right? And all the while, our population growing, and away we go. So listen, folks, for me, for you right now, what's going on? This is going to take 5 to 10 years to fix, if we're lucky, right? If anyone remembers the GFC, we had very similar issues here, but it was with the finance companies that were funding these developments. Now it's directly with the builders and the developers. So let's say we have hundreds of builders go out of business. We've got many large construction companies go out of business right now, folks. What does that do? What does that do right now? What does that do does that improve our ability to deliver projects? Right? Does it improve it? Okay. And it's probably not going to be the last of a few larger builders in the country. Certainly, for most of them, they did not cause this. They did not cause this. The government caused this because of their stupidity when it came to that. What they should be doing right now is giving the fucking builders some money because they caused these problems when it came to flooding the market with free money with no understanding of consequences. They caused this problem. Square and fucking fair, right? It's bullshit. Anyway, what are we going to do about it as investors? Well, folks, you need to be on the right side of the ledger. This is not going to be fixed for 5 to 10 years at all. Prices will only go up. Anyway, prices are only going to go up, team. 1, 5 to 10 years. Number 2, prices will only go up. Prices up. Folks, we have no supply. There's no supply anywhere, and all of these builders going broke are not going to supply anything. All right? And rents up. And the only thing holding it back right now, what's the only thing holding this back when it comes to now? There's a gazillion things going on, folks. You guys have heard me talk about this. We've got a disaster. 25 major building companies have collapsed in Australia. Hundreds of small builders. The supply chain is in all sorts. And you know what the government's doing? The government's over in America fucking talking to BlackRock to try and fix our housing problems because they fucking caused them. Anyway, I'm fired up this morning. This is bullshit. Anyway, what's going to happen, team? Yep. Yeah, a couple of the banks in America got themselves in strife. Again, Alison, the American banking system's pretty loose in comparison to Australian systems. But anyway, so team, the takeaway from this today, if you want to be on the right side of the ledger, right now, the one thing that's holding this back is interest rates. Interest rates will go down in late 24 and 25. And between now and then, you've got an opportunity, if you understand what to do, if you can get in with the right deals and the right people at the right time, you'll be on the right side of the ledger when it comes to the marketplace and what will happen. All right? Yes, in the next 12 months, there might be some unfortunate homeowners that may have to sell. I don't think that's going to be the case because I've talked about this. There's nowhere to go for them, so they're going to hunker down and hang on as hard as they can, and fair to them. Because if you sold your house, where do you go? It's just going to cost you as much to rent something and probably some piece of junk. So people will cut all sorts of spending to cover their costs. That is what will happen. So inflation will reduce, sadly, in the wrong way, but that's what the bank, the RBA wants. Unemployment will rise, and interest rates will go down. That's what's going to happen. We've got a massive population boom. Anyway, I'm not going to go on. You guys know where I'm at. That's it for today. I'm done. I could rant for another hour. Anyway, there you go, folks. It's not going to get any better if you're on the wrong side of the ledger. If you're on the right side of the ledger with the right people, it'll be great. And this is the kind of the yin and the yang, the Jekyll and Hyde, the day and the night of what these things do when governments make bad decisions, not understanding the consequences. Anyway, there you go. I better move on. I might get in trouble from abusing the government. Anyway, there you go, folks. Wealth Coffee Chat done and dusted. Join me tomorrow for another one. Always do them around about 8 o'clock. You guys know the drill. 10 past 8. Yeah, absolutely, Alison. Be on that right side of the ledger, team. Join me again tomorrow. You guys be awesome. Be well. Remember, this thing's a marathon, not a sprint. Takes time to build a property portfolio, and sometimes, well, all the time, you need to understand how to be able to continue to move forward to build your property portfolio. And this is just another thing in the market that you need to be able to navigate successfully to continue to grow and keep your momentum going. All right, folks, that's it. I'm done. Bye-bye. You guys have an awesome day. Thanks, Alex. Join me tomorrow for another one. Over and out.